Have you ever been in love? And have you ever been rejected? Have you ever been so in love that it hurts? Well, if you are on the losing end of love, Makeine Too Many Losing Heroines, or simply Makeine, is an anime that may spark your interest. If you have gazed upon its name or cover art, you may quickly dismiss it as another harem anime. But what if I told you that none of the girls actually like the main character? This unique twist that assists the author's choice of narrative is completely unheard of. I mean, a romance-focused anime that does not focus on the main character? This unprecedented fact may seem unappealing to many, but that is because people are afraid of watching a slice of life anime, which I think is overhated. And that of course is not entirely it. It is a pit full of joy and sadness, and one that depicts the true horrors of unreciprocated love. But the value a lot of people miss out on from choosing not to watch this anime due to this fact is the very true emotions that the characters display in a very real life scenario in which you will be able to address such emotions if such things happen in your life. But what are those very real life scenarios? Makeine Too Many Losing Heroines follows the intertwining lives of Nukumizu and of several young women, as they navigate the complexities of love, of heartbreak, and of personal growth. Unlike typical romance stories, this anime doesn't promise happy endings for everyone. Instead, it focuses on the hardships of loving someone, offering a heartfelt exploration of relationships and loss. With its captivating storytelling, realistic portrayal of emotions, and the very well done and beautiful animations, Many Losing Heroines delivers a narrative that resonates deeply with anyone who has experienced the bittersweet journey of love and grief. So in this video, I will be doing a review as well as an analysis of the characters in the anime because I see there's like no analysis videos on the series, so I just decided to do it myself. You know, just for my own entertainment and hopefully for everyone else's. So let's talk about the main boy, Kazuhiko Nukumizu. Nukumizu is a loner who prefers books over socializing. At the start of the series, he has no friends and seems cold and distant, leading others to misunderstand him. However, once people get to know him, they realize he's not as unapproachable as they thought, and they mention this a number of times in the anime. He struggles with social interactions but isn't a complete infantile when it comes to facing said social interactions, like what we are used to in other anime. As a devoted otaku, Nukumizu's room is filled with anime and video game merchandise. Although he's attracted to girls, he believes love isn't for him and has very little interest in romance. But we actually learn that deep down, he may unknowingly want to be the quote-unquote main character. Ana Yanami, and funnily enough also known as a sea otter, is the main losing heroine of the series, often seen as the one who would end up with the main character if the MC had to choose one at the end of the show. After being rejected by her childhood friend Sosuke, whom she secretly liked, she redirects her feelings toward Nukumizu. To cope with her rejection, she even orders food under his name and over time spends a lot of her time eating with Nukumizu, preparing him bento lunches in order to repay him for all the food. She also uses these moments to vent about Sosuke's growing relationship with his new girlfriend, Karen, leaning on Nukumizu for emotional support. The next losing heroine introduced is Lemon Yakishio, the queen of sports and competition. She's all about having fun with her friends, and she's typically the popular girl and has that approachable, bright aura that people get drawn to. And obviously, her popularity is almost inevitable, but here's the losing part. Her crush, Mitsuki Ayano, gets a girlfriend, Chihaya Asugumo, I think that's how you pronounce it, before Lemon can even confess, and of course, the reveal was a shocker. Lemon's sunny personality doesn't just make her popular, it makes her a friend magnet. She's one of the most liked girls in school, and even Chika Komari, who's usually antisocial and reserved, ends up calling Lemon a close friend. That's the magic of Lemon Yakishio, spreading good vibes wherever she goes, even when she's quietly battling her own emotional storms. Chika Komari, who is my personal favorite in the series, embodies the social awkward, introverted stereotype of a literature club member, struggling with crippling shyness and anxiety and has a deep desire for connection. Her lack of confidence is evident in her constant stuttering and reliance on texting to communicate when speaking feels too overwhelming. Despite craving closeness, she distances herself out of fear of eventual separation, a contradiction that highlights her inner conflict. Komari's dynamic with Nukumizu adds more complexity to her character. She often treats him harshly, telling him to die, and using him as a shield in social situations while throwing insults his way. Yet, beneath her sharp tongue lies genuine care for her friends, showing through her actions rather than her words. Though Komari struggles with carrying burdens alone, her hidden courage shines in key moments. She pushes herself to the brink of exhaustion to create the perfect send-off for her graduating senpais, and even confesses her feelings to Shintaro Tamaki, fully aware she'll be rejected. Which is a pretty bold move for someone who stammers through most conversations. These acts of bravery reveal the strength growing beneath her anxiety, as Komari learns to navigate her fears and stay loyal to the people she values most. Her dedication, despite her struggles, paints her as a quietly resilient character whose actions speak louder than her stuttering and trembling words. Alright, enough of the script writing, enough of the introductions. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of this video. What makes this show so great? What makes it so beloved by me? And others, I'm assuming. Well, if the characters' descriptions didn't speak for itself, then allow me to tell you. What really stands out in this anime for me are the character dynamics. Each character, especially the main ones, are really fleshed out. I feel like every scene I watch with them in it is almost identical to if I was watching someone else in real life, and I'm not trying to be creepy, but that did sound creepy. They just feel so real, and not to mention each character can easily be a reflection of any of us. Of course, especially Nukumizu, because even I am a big otaku that likes some alone time. But characters like Yanami, Lemon, and Komari can also definitely be relatable to probably many of you guys. But before I delve into my beautiful 45-page analysis of script, I never expect my analysis as the quote-unquote correct depiction. If anything, I want you guys to correct me. Give me different points of view so that not only do I learn something as I read the comments, we as a community are able to benefit from each other and people who want to watch this video to learn more about the show and characters. I'm not a perfect analyzer. You know, this video, to be honest, was just a passion project of mine. I basically did it as a hobby to not only teach myself more about the series I love, but to also be productive and, you know, make an analysis video that the world is currently lacking, because I did try to search YouTube and there's nothing in YouTube about it. But yeah, I just basically said I'ma do it myself. Insert Thanos meme right now. Alright, let's just get to it. Nukumizu is often perceived as a dense character, especially in matters of love. Despite his gentle and family-oriented nature, his denseness is mainly observed when it comes to his own romantic situations, while he ironically is more aware of others' love affairs. This recurring trait is pointed out by several heroines, who regularly comment that his issues lies in his inability to deepen bonds with others, whether in friendship or romance. He avoids emotionally investing in people, fearing the consequences of deepening connections, whether it's due to his own hesitations or concern for others, like when Yanami's reputation was in jeopardy, which we will get to later. Nukumizu's passiveness is contrasted by his rare moments of emotional reflection, particularly after his fallout with Yanami, which prompts him to examine his own behavior. These moments are often triggered by his sister Kaju, who helps him confront his thoughts. As the series progresses, Nukumizu begins to take small but significant steps towards building deeper relationships, though his awkwardness and hesitancy still linger. We can also suggest that Nukumizu is a very independent person who often fears showing vulnerability and avoids social intimacy based on his feelings in a scenario where one would shed tears. For example, his detachment at his graduation ceremony from middle school implies a certain distance from typical social or emotional experiences, possibly hinting at being inexperienced himself in relationships way before the start of the series. The subtle act of covering their sentimental feelings with, for example, a wry smile, shows that Nukumizu still prefers to manage and internalize their own emotions rather than express them openly. This implies a tendency to maintain composure and not show vulnerability outwardly, a sign of someone who might value their independence or has difficulty fully embracing and displaying their emotional side. During the graduation, there's also another telling moment regarding Nukumizu, and it's this passage right here. He notices her crying and he feels comforted seeing her return to her usual cheerful self. His attention to her well-being is significant, and it shows that he's always paying attention to others around him and wants them to be happy even if he struggles to express this. I mean, we already saw this attitude when he was afraid of hurting Yanami's reputation in the anime. Ultimately, while Nukumizu may appear dense on the surface, his reluctance to engage deeply in relationships is due to a very low self-esteem and lack of experience. His journey is about learning to balance his cautious nature with the need for meaningful connections, a process that highlights his growth throughout the story. Now, I can add way more about his character and personality, but his personality really shines when paired with any of the other losing heroines or any of the other characters in the show. So his justice will be in my analysis of the other characters. The girls can easily be characterized as anime stereotypes that actually reflect the real-life social archetypes really well, and I'm talking about the chaotic kid, the popular kid, and of course, the quiet kid. We are gonna start off with the main girl and everyone's favorite, Ana Yanami.
あのね、ぬくみずくん。迷惑かもしれないけど。
Ana Yanami is what I'd like to call the chaotic kid because she is quite literally chaotic. She eats her emotions away, she trauma dumps constantly on Nukumizu, she's loud, mischievous, petty, jealous, and has a tendency to act without thinking. But outside all of this, she's actually such a kind soul. If food is her number one priority, then her friends are second. She's quick to help her friends and often gives Nukumizu advice on what to do when facing any drama with the rest of the characters. She has a high emotional intelligence, though it is not clear in the anime, and uses it to procure solutions for the people she cares about. She has a strong heart. Yanami, when it comes to romance, is a master of disguise, well, at least on the surface. Beneath that cool, silly exterior, she's quite the bundle of emotions actually, battling waves of jealousy that crash every time she sees Sosuke and Karen together. It gnaws at her, it eats her, but she never lets it get the better of her. I mean, being able to tell what she thought was her soulmate Sosuke to chase after someone else is impressive. I mean, in the real world and to anyone at least, this is clearly no easy feat, especially knowing that the love of your life was taken by a good friend of yours. And with this ordeal, Yanami has to paint a picture over her face that masks her true feelings whenever she's around them. And due to this, Nukumizu of all people has become her emotional outlet. Their friendship, oddly enough, is built on shared moments where Ana vents, letting loose the pent-up feelings she can't express otherwise. She clings to these conversations, using them as an escape from the growing tension surrounding Sosuke and Karen's new romance. It's a 50-50, one where she's constantly stepping between the lines of what she feels and what she shows to the world. Yanami's got the soft spot for the classic love story where childhood friends fall for each other. She's the type to cheer from the sidelines, pushing girls like Remen, who are in the same boat as her, to go for it, but it doesn't stop there. Yanami's got this funny philosophy in her head. There are two types of friends in the world. We got the loyal childhood friend and the homewrecker, and she actively categorizes people immediately, which was pretty funny in the anime. And the only tension that happens from what I know is in the anime where Yanami and Nukumizu fight, and that is when Nukumizu hears a group of girls shitting on him and questioning Yanami's intention of talking to him. And Nukumizu, in response to this, wants to break things off with her in order to shield her from potentially damaging her reputation. And when he confronted Yanami about this, she was really hurt because she really did enjoy her time with Nukumizu. And of course, Yanami is a good person, and she immediately rushes to Nukumizu upon hearing that he is potentially in danger, thanks to Komari, even though she feels wronged about Nukumizu's intentions or actions. So in my opinion, to conclude this analysis of her, she is the best otter. But now let's dig a bit deeper. This part of the analysis will be about the deeper relationship between Yanami and Nukumizu, which is what I'd like to call the love analysis, and this will be the Yanami part of it. Yanami, despite appearances, is actually quite cunning, and every move she makes hints at something contained below the surface. Yanami's cunning nature and hidden motives become more apparent through her behavior, especially around Nukumizu. A significant example is when she pushes the Sosuke and Karen plotline as a way to bring herself closer to Nukumizu. This move reveals her Aizen level thinking, creating a situation that keeps her closer to him while appearing detached. This surfaces during the date at episode 12 of the anime, where Yanami carefully tests his reactions by teasing him, hoping to gauge his feelings. Now, here's where it gets interesting. When Nukumizu tells Yanami about a doll he's getting for a girl, which in this case is his sister, although unclear of who that is to Yanami, the misunderstanding frustrates her, and she draws a comparison to Sosuke, dredging that Nukumizu might one day find someone like Karen and leave her behind. This fear motivates her to invite him onto the Ferris wheel, alone, just the two of them, where she becomes visibly upset to the point of crying even, revealing the depth of her emotions. During their conversation in the Ferris wheel, Yanami subtly presses Nukumizu, hinting that he may not be fully honest with her. When he awkwardly suggests that she could easily get a boyfriend, it contradicts his earlier statement about not trying too hard to find a boyfriend, indicating to Yanami that he might not want her to find someone else. This slip in his words gave Yanami the confirmations he seeks, and that Nukumizu does care about her in some way, even if he's not fully aware of it. Just the way she words things is so deep and layered that it can come off as just another message or a layered message. Now, I am not sure whether A1 Pictures was hinting to us or that's just how they wrote Yanami, but striking lines were said between Yanami and Nukumizu that episode. So, adding on to Nukumizu telling Yanami that she shouldn't try so hard to get a boyfriend, Nukumizu further explains that love shouldn't be forced. In a previous interaction between Nukumizu and Yanami, the rooftop reconciliation, I call it, I think it was in episode 4, volume 1 of chapter 4 of the novel, Nukumizu quotes, "First of all, the two people should hang out for at least 2 to 3 years before the confession, right? They need to understand and confirm their feelings for each other. After that, they have to visit a place vivid in their memories to achieve that final step." Now, this romantic belief states that it must take time to get close to someone, something I would agree with in the real life, and I'm sure many of you would. But in the anime, Yanami counters this in the Ferris wheel by saying, quote-unquote, "We spent a lot of time together, but unfortunately never got that close." This can mean a few things. First, she could be talking about Sosuke, which Nukumizu interprets it as. But you can also say that she might actually be referencing Nukumizu, as they do spend the most time together. Her decision to stop pursuing the fake boyfriend ruse after that whole shebang in the Ferris wheel shows that she's achieved what she wanted, which was confirmation that Nukumizu values their relationship. This realization gives her the confidence to start making more direct moves towards him later, knowing that the bond they share is meaningful to both sides. At the end of the episode, when Lemon and Komari press them, intrigued by what possibly could have happened between them during the Ferris wheel ride, Yanami ends the episode by saying, quote-unquote, "That's what's the trouble with you. Nukumizu. Basically, the catchphrase used by Anna and the other losing heroines, which is used when Nukumizu is oblivious to romantic signals. They typically say this to him when he's either missing their feelings or doing something embarrassing without realizing it. Another thing Yanami says that actually intrigued me is when she claims she lost her innocence to Nukumizu in the anime. Now, this can be a stretch and is my own interpretation to it, and it could simply be just her teasing him, but upon hearing the word innocence, especially in a romantic context, one can assume it means a breakthrough in physical intimacy. But when you think about it, losing your innocence can also be interpreted as an emotional shift when someone develops more complex feelings. When we think of a child losing innocence, we think that they entered the domain of teenagers or young adults, which often include curiosity of the other sex. This marks a growth in self-awareness and emotional depth. In this way, losing innocence can signify moving from simplicity to complexity in relationships, potentially reflecting Yanami's self-awareness of her own feelings for Nukumizu. Yanami, as I've said, is deeply strategic in her interactions with Nukumizu, deliberately aligning herself with his high standards for relationships. As quoted previously, Nukumizu believes that romance requires a minimum of 2 to 3 years of close friendship to truly understand each other. So, the way I see it, Yanami adapts to this by holding back her feelings and playing the long game, where she works her way up from initially strangers, and then to friends, and then to best friends, and then eventually to lovers. Her restraint in confessing is not just her being cautious, but deliberate to align with Nukumizu's romantic beliefs, showing her thoughtful dedication to being the ideal companion for him. But also the fact that she probably just wants to tease him. But that's, we love Yanami for that. A significant motive behind Yanami's actions is her underlying fear of losing Nukumizu, stemming from her traumatic experience of loss with Sosuke. Having watched her close friendship with Sosuke fade as he entered a relationship with Karen, Yanami is determined not to repeat this experience with Nukumizu again. This fear makes her fiercely protective and jealous, especially when Nukumizu spends time with not just the losing heroines, but the winning ones too, and the yet-to-be winning ones as well. Though comedic on the surface, Yanami's jealousy is deeper than simple rivalry. It's her way of ensuring she won't lose another round in the game of love. This fear is evident in moments where Yanami subtly interferes with Nukumizu's interactions with other girls. For instance, in the novel, she orchestrates situations to disrupt his time with others, such as sending Lemon to interrupt a study session with Tiara Basori. And for you anime onlys, yes, the cute cat maid is a potential suitor for our boy Nukumizu. So yeah, these actions reveal her protectiveness and her desire to be his primary emotional connection. In this sense, Yanami's behavior goes beyond friendly jealousy, showing a complex blend of possessiveness and emotional attachment fueled by her fear of abandonment. An example is the Takeshima Aquarium Date with Lemon, which I will go through once we reach the Lemon character analysis. Here, Yanami and a couple of the literature club gang seem to have been watching them on their date, with Yanami really desperate to find them when both Nukumizu and Lemon were hiding. Yanami's presence at the aquarium during Nukumizu's date with Yakishio hints at her complex character, one that is driven by curiosity and possibly jealousy. As a close friend and member of the literature club, Yanami has always had a keen eye on Nukumizu's behavior, especially when it strays from their mutual no-lovers alliance pact that Yanami establishes without Nukumizu's knowledge. Her arrival at the aquarium could be seen as an attempt to ensure that Nukumizu wasn't venturing too far from this agreement, or to witness firsthand what might be a shift in the club's dynamic. Beneath her playful and sometimes sharp demeanor, there might be hints of unspoken feelings, whether romantic or simply a desire to remain significant in Nukumizu's life. Her appearance adds tension and a layer of intrigue, highlighting her role as more than just a clubmate but a character deeply intertwined with Nukumizu's personal life. Further demonstrating this is the scene that happens in the morning of the graduation ceremony for their seniors by the tulip trees. In this scene, Yanami brings up the former captain of the basketball team, and her intentions sound like she's trying to spark some jealousy in Nukumizu. Yanami casually mentions that the basketball captain wanted to see her one last time, emphasizing that she initially thought of turning him down, but was persuaded by his persistence. This emphasis serves a dual purpose. It highlights that Yanami has options, and it also allows her to subtly gauge Nukumizu's reaction. Yanami likely wants to see if he'll exhibit any signs of jealousy or concern, testing whether he cares about her beyond friendship. Nukumizu's response, however, is nonchalant and dismissive, which might not be what Yanami hoped for. This type of avoidance can be interpreted as Nukumizu feeling uncomfortable revealing any vulnerability regarding Yanami. His humor serves as a shield to deflect his true feelings, something he is unwilling or unprepared to face, and Yanami's subsequent body language adds further signs. Quotations, "She seemed oddly proud, twirling her hair." Now, when a girl is twirling her hair, they engage in a classic sign of flirting, likely amplifying their charm, and in this case, to elicit a reaction from Nukumizu. By combining flirtatious actions with talk about another man, Yanami seems to be trying to make Nukumizu confront his feelings, something he is reluctant to do. Hints of romantic tension between the two extend beyond just this though. Yanami's later interactions continue this pattern of testing Nukumizu's boundaries. For instance, she playfully suggests that she would lend Nukumizu her shoulder if he ended up crying during the graduation ceremony. This teasing offer hints at a deeper connection she wants to cultivate. She's inviting him to be emotionally vulnerable with her, almost pushing for a situation where he needs her comfort. This willingness to offer emotional support indicates that Yanami, though teasing, desires for the relationship to be more trusting, contrasting with Nukumizu's hesitation to admit or explore his own emotions. In Volume 4, Chapter 4, there was a lot of juicy stuff. Here, we witness a lot of character dynamics between not just Yanami, but a couple other girls as well. One of the most telling moments about Yanami is when Chikia's fall in the gymnasium and Nukumizu rushes to catch her, holding her in like a ballroom-like pose. This incident stirs up gossip and speculation among the students. However, thanks to Nukumizu's actions, Chikia can't help but question one thing. And that was, do you want to go out with me? This honestly got me giddy. It got me goofy. The scene was so crazy. I just loved it. And you know, it all quickly changed when a very expected Nukumizu thing to do followed up where he gets flustered and says all the wrong things. I'm sorry, Chikia fans. So yeah, not so surprising. Nukumizu downplays his worthiness due to low self-esteem. But when Nukumizu glances back to find Yanami, not knowing what to do after that whole scene, she looks away, her body language speaking volumes about her jealousy and discomfort. That small but very significant part really illustrates Yanami's deeper attachment and fear of being overshadowed by others. And this all happened after Yanami was trying to make a move on Nukumizu. Yanami was trying to invite Nukumizu to a Christmas party, and you know, if a girl has been trying to force you to accompany her somewhere, it speaks volume of her affection for you, especially if she counters your worries in such a way that would make your heart drop. Just get together already, damn! But anyways, Nukumizu ends up ignoring her because he noticed Chikia being in potential danger, and if you have a bit of imagination, ignoring a girl for another looks really bad, which explains why Yanami looks away. It really shows her jealousy and annoyance at Nukumizu's choice of actions. And one last thing I want to cover is Yanami's pen gift to Nukumizu in Volume 4, Chapter 4. Yanami's cunning nature is revealed in her choice of a personalized gift, a pen engraved with her own name rather than Nukumizu's. This decision appears intentional as it cleverly ensures her presence is constantly in his mind each time he uses the pen. Since a pen is practically an item he would use often, her name serves as a constant reminder for Nukumizu to keep thinking of her, discreetly keeping his focus on her and away from other girls. Her reaction to the mistake almost feels like an act, as though her flusteredness was to disguise her ulterior motives. Yanami has valid motives for this possessive act, given the juicy recent events that happened. Chikia's fall into Nukumizu's arms, leading to a moment of closeness that didn't go unnoticed, likely fueled her protectiveness. Additionally, the revelation of the scarf from Basori, an item he falsely claimed to have had for a while, would only deepen her suspicion, making the pen not only a gift but a strategic move to reinforce herself in his life. Now, either it was intentional or not intentional, but suggests that Yanami wants to have matching pens with Nukumizu, which is why she got flustered when it was her name. probably because she didn't want to keep it hidden. But regardless, Yanami's calculated mistake suggests a deeper awareness of how to maintain Nukumizu's attention, intertwining her feelings of jealousy and desire with a subtle ongoing influence over him. And to further expand the plot and to maintain the agenda, Yanami ends the volume in a way that got me like,
"Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!"
So to finally conclude after like 10 plus pages of this topic, which I don't mind because we must maintain the agenda, Yanami and Nukumizu's relationship is an intricate mix of subtle affection, jealousy, and strategic moves, elevating their bond beyond simple friendship. Yanami is highly aware of Nukumizu's values, adopting his belief in a slow-building friendship as the foundation for potential romance. Her approach creates a more than friends, less than lovers tension, blending genuine care with methodical strategy to deepen their connection without overtly pushing him, allowing her to stay close within his life. Lemon Yakishio is definitely the popular kid archetype. She shines whenever she's in the room and has all the qualifications of someone who would be called an extrovert. She is assumed to be the most popular girl in her year and is quite the ambitious type, always running and competing in the name of passion. However, it wasn't until her childhood crush got a girlfriend unbeknownst to her, and it really broke me. Nothing hits harder than receiving news of what no longer could be. And what's even worse is knowing you were considered but never really came to fruition because of assumptions. And that's exactly what it was. Mitsuki admits that he assumed Lemon already had her own plans in love because she is so popular and is constantly surrounded by guys. Now, in response to this, Lemon joins the literature club and simultaneously joins the losing heroines club with none other than Yanami. Now, in contrast to Yanami, Lemon actually still wants to be friends with Mitsuki, and even going further as to support the relationship, in which hiding your emotions and true feelings is a requirement. But let's be real, keeping that mask on isn't easy. Lemon tries, she really tries to keep it together, but she's not exactly a pro at hiding how she feels. Constantly surrounded by people, you'd think that a skill that would be developed is full control and awareness of your appearance, but eventually, her true emotions do spill out during a hangout, and it causes an accidental confession that causes Lemon to get so overwhelmed by that emotional fallout that she ends up skipping school for a few days, and she's nowhere to be seen because she retreats to her grandmother's house to help cope with her emotions. But even then, she's got no grudge against Mitsuki or his girlfriend Chihaya. Lemon's just too good for that, and she decides she's going to stay friends with both of them even though she's heartbroken. Nukumizu and the literature club gang do eventually visit her in the attempt of seeing how she is, just trying to check in on her friend. Eventually, Yanami persuades Nukumizu to talk to Yakishio by saying if he does not go, that she might just turn Lemon into herself, which to note is one of the many scenes where Yanami is proven to actually be sharper than she looks. Lemon and Nukumizu chat, where it is revealed that Lemon constantly wants to support Mitsuki, going as far as to give him advice on his relationship. But of course, doing so will feel like you are really cementing the loss of your love, which of course comes with its own hardships, and which it did. The more Lemon tried to help Mitsuki, the more her feelings grew, and the more she was getting hurt and afraid of herself, afraid of being selfish. In her mind, she was sincerely wanting to help a friend in need, but during those times, she cherished it, not in the view of a friend, but the view of a partner. She couldn't help herself from wanting things to stay forever every time she was hanging out with Mitsuki, and each time it was drowning her. What if he stays with me and the two break up? She acknowledges the terrible thought and of course feels incredibly guilty about it. She feels disgusted about herself. Taking advantage of someone you care about in pursuit of yourself is not one would compliment. In the end, Lemon Yakishio is a character defined by her depth and resilience. Beneath her popular and vibrant exterior, she grapples with the pain of unrequited love and the challenge of putting others' happiness before her own. Her journey reflects the bittersweet reality of self-sacrifice, as she balances friendship with lingering feelings, ultimately showcasing her strength, maturity, and genuine compassion. Lemon's story is a moving portrayal of love, loss, and the quiet courage it takes to choose kindness over resentment. Now we get to what you Lemon fans are here for, and that is the question of romantic progress between Nukumizu and Lemon. Well, in Volume 6, Lemon secretly asks Nukumizu to go on a date and actually makes his heart flutter. He of course couldn't help but question her motives. He goes into denial, thinking that a girl as popular as Lemon could possibly like someone like him. You know, the usually low self-esteem dense Nukumizu. The Takeshima Aquarium Date between Lemon and Nukumizu deepens their bond, in which it blends playfulness with glimpses of a more intimate underlying message. Throughout the date, Yakishio's lively demeanor and teasing gestures hint at a more than friend's affection. Kinda like Yanami, as she holds Nukumizu's hand and plays with the boundaries of their friendships through various sections of the aquarium. One of my favorite scenes was the tank reflection scene. This scene captures a moment of quiet intimacy between Nukumizu and Yakishio, where the peaceful aquarium setting brings out layers of memories and unspoken feelings. Standing side by side, they are drawn into a reflective silence as Nukumizu recalls a tender, vulnerable moment from last summer where Nukumizu accompanies Lemon to her childhood elementary school with Mitsuki. Their minimal dialogue, shy glances, and shared reflection in the water reveal a mutual awareness, yet both hold back from fully expressing themselves. The soft lighting and distant aquarium noise create a suspended, almost dreamlike atmosphere, highlighting that subtle depth and tension of a connection that feels both close and delicate. Now, I absolutely loved this interaction. It is such a heartfelt moment, the kind of justice we needed that we never got in the anime. Now, Nukumizu actually bumps into Komari, who may have been following them along with some other people. After that was the highlight, where Nukumizu returns what seems to be notes on how to make moves on a guy that actually seems to belong to Lemon. Of course, upon returning it to Lemon, she gets flustered and exclaims that her mother gave it to her, hinting that though both sides claim to not have told anyone about the date, she has possibly asked for advice on the date, which illustrates her desire for... hint hint hint. We'll get back to it in a bit. The Jellyfish Scene is a pivotal moment in the growing bond between Yakishio and Nukumizu. It's filled with quiet emotions and subtle storytelling. In the soft glow of the jellyfish exhibit, the two are wrapped in a calm stillness, far from the lively noise of the aquarium. The jellyfish's gentle light reflects on their faces, showing not just their physical reflections, but also the feelings they've been silently holding on to. This rare, heartfelt moment peels back the playful surface of their interactions, revealing a more deeper and more meaningful connection. For Yakishio, this moment is a chance to explore vulnerability. She looks straight in a steady gaze into Nukumizu's eyes, her expression carrying a mix of playful confidence and an unspoken question, like she's trying to find something in how he reacts. She's standing close, her body language somewhere between daring and unsure, knowing how thin the line is between being just friends and maybe something more. The jellyfish light shimmers on the water, reflecting sparkles off her earrings and mirroring the feelings swirling inside of her, and that is a mix of courage and self-doubt. Nukumizu, on the other hand, brings his own layers to the moment. Struggling to meet her gaze, he's caught not just by her beauty, but by the weight of what's happening. To him, Yakishio feels real yet fleeting, like the jellyfish drifting in the tank. This forces him to face emotions he might have been avoiding. His growing admiration for her and the way she draws out parts of him he usually keeps hidden. In this quiet exchange, he starts to see her as more than just a friend, but also as someone who might truly understand who he truly is. The scene's simplicity makes it hit even harder. Their locked eyes, the mix of light and shadow, and the graceful movements of the jellyfish all underline the bond they share. It's a delicate, powerful moment hinting at a connection that's as fragile and beautiful as literally the jellyfish swimming in front of them. The touch tank scene at the aquarium shifts the mood of Yakishio and Nukumizu's date from serious to playful while still carrying a deeper emotional weight. The tank, home to a massive spider crab, becomes the backdrop for a mix of laughter and subtle vulnerability. For Lemon, this moment is a chance to ease the tension from earlier by playfully teasing Nukumizu about his reluctance to touch the crab. Her laughter and lighthearted comments show how she can create an easygoing vibe, but they also hint at her wanting to draw Nukumizu out of his shell. Very nice symbolism there. When Lemon grabs Nukumizu's hand and guides it toward the crab, it's more than just a playful move. It shows how she acts as a bridge between Nukumizu's cautious personality and the world around him. Even as she jokes about his fear, her actions suggest she hopes he'll embrace the curiosity and boldness that comes so naturally to her. For Nukumizu, this small moment becomes a quiet step towards trusting her. Her persistence encourages him to let go of his hesitation, not just about the crab, but about opening up to her as well. The scene takes on a deeper meaning when Lemon holds onto Nukumizu's hand longer than needed, almost without realizing it. Her offhand remark about it feeling natural reveals an unconscious comfort she has with him, something she might not have fully acknowledged yet. For Nukumizu, this lingering moment is more than just playful fun. It's a quiet, eye-opening realization. While he might try to downplay it as part of the joke, he knows it holds more significance, especially given the unspoken feelings that seem to bubble beneath their interactions. As they move on from the touch tank section, the mix of playful teasing and brief closeness highlights a central theme in their growing relationship: how Lemon's boldness balances Nukumizu's reserved nature, with both of them gradually finding common ground. The crab, once a source of intimidation, becomes a symbol of how challenges can feel manageable with the right person by your side. It's a small but meaningful moment that reflects their evolving connection and their ability to navigate with each other's vulnerabilities together. And now the final part of the date, the Takeshima Island itself. The walk across Takeshima Bridge becomes yet another key moment in Yakishio and Nukumizu's date, which blends physical movement and symbolizes it as an emotional shift in their relationship. The bridge, stretching over calm waters beneath a warm, late winter sun, reflects the journey they're taking. It's not just to their destination, but it's also towards a deeper connection. For Nukumizu, who's usually guarded and detached in social settings, the walk feels surprisingly enjoyable. Side by side with Lemon, he begins to notice a lightness in himself, an unexpected ease that catches him off guard. It's here, mid-step, that he realizes this isn't just a casual outing. It holds more significance than he's willing to admit. Yakishio, ever lively and playful, fills the walk with cheerful observations about the seabirds and the view ahead. Her upbeat energy contrasts with the vulnerability she showed earlier, as though she's trying to create a carefree day for both of them. But beneath her laughter lies something more heartfelt. Her excitement about reaching the shrine feels almost childlike, but the way she speaks hints that the bridge symbolizes more to her than just a scenic path. It's a moment to share a side of herself that's free from pretense, where she can simply be with Nukumizu without the weight of expectations. As they reach the midpoint of the bridge, the silence between them shifts. It's no longer awkward but peaceful, showing how far their bond has come. For Yakishio, this calm moment stands out because it feels different from the way others treat her. She's used to being seen as special, but with Nukumizu, she gets to just exist, without any extra attention or pressure from anyone else. For Nukumizu, the walk challenges his earlier assumptions about Yakishio. Her mix of joy and quiet depth makes him see her in a new light, as someone far more complex and genuine than he first thought. Here is where Lemon finally reveals her true feelings, and sorry to disappoint, it's not about her feelings for Nukumizu. The stroll across the Takeshima Bridge becomes a pivotal moment for Nukumizu as he begins to understand the depth of the date and its impact on him. While walking beside Yakishio, he's struck by how natural and enjoyable their time together feels, marking a shift in his perception of her from just a friend to someone who brings a unique, uplifting presence into his life. This acknowledgement reveals Nukumizu's budding feelings and hints at a growing connection that's not just surface level companionship, but something more personal. The bridge itself, with its sweeping views and symbolic journey above water, mirrors his inner realization that he's venturing into unfamiliar emotional territory. As they climb and reach the shrine, both Lemon and Nukumizu make prayers, and in this scene, Lemon worries Nukumizu, which forces him to ask if something is bothering her. We can infer through Lemon's belief that wishes have a connection to her own desire that was fulfilled for someone else, and that would be her wanting to wish for Mitsuki, but of course, should the wish be fulfilled, it would literally cancel someone else's, that being Chihaya, Mitsuki's partner. And Nukumizu picks up on this, sensing that Lemon has deep feelings she isn't showing. Lemon then opens up about why she asked Nukumizu out in the first place, sharing feelings of isolation and the pressure she faces when she's in the literature club. And she also states that she is rarely present and finds difficulty in understanding what's going on. She feels alienated, as if on the fringes of her own friendships and responsibilities. And this date serves as an opportunity for her to reconnect, not just with Nukumizu, but with herself. Her comments reflect a deeper struggle to balance her individuality with the special treatment she often receives in her other relationships, which leaves her longing for simplicity and understanding. This openness lays bare Lemon's inner conflict, hinting that she views Nukumizu as a safe emotional harbor, someone with whom she doesn't have to put on an act in front of. Nukumizu, picking up on her subtle cues, realizes that she might see him as the one person who actually accepts her without expectations, which deepens his understanding of her motives and feelings. Finally, as they arrive at Mikawa Bay, Lemon jokingly suggests the going home club, proposing they leave behind their club responsibilities and simply spend time together, hinting at her desire for a refuge from social pressures. The bay's serene vibes complement the weight of her words, and while her suggestion comes across as playful, Nukumizu senses the seriousness behind it. For Yakishio, this going home club idea represents a longing for an uncomplicated relationship, one where she can be authentic without worrying about expectations. Standing beside her, Nukumizu realizes how much Yakishio values his companionship, and he begins to appreciate that for both of them, and this date may signify a rare space of freedom and connection that neither finds elsewhere. Their date concludes at the beach, where Lemon quietly reaches for his hand, intertwining his fingers with his in a gesture that speaks volumes. Here, she drops her playful mask entirely, revealing her vulnerability in a way that catches Nukumizu off guard. Her hand in his feels symbolic, a special yet silent confession of trust and desire for closeness and intimacy, and in that moment, Nukumizu recognizes that their relationship is evolving into something with more emotional depth, as both of them find comfort and understanding in one another's presence. This scene hints at the possibility of a romance rooted not just in attraction, but in mutual acceptance and shared vulnerabilities, a connection that allows each of them to feel seen and understood in ways they may have long been searching for. Beneath her confidence lies a quiet longing, perhaps a desire to find someone who sees beyond her public persona. For Nukumizu, this date marks an unexpected shift. His usual guardedness gives way to a sense of comfort and admiration for Yakishio's authenticity, sparking in him feelings that blur the lines between friendship and possibly something more. Yakishio's admissions of feeling out of place with others and her suggestion, though half in jest, about quitting the club reflects her yearning for a peaceful life, one that is free from expectations, a role possibly Nukumizu could fulfill as someone who genuinely appreciates her. Meanwhile, Nukumizu, drawn to her spirited nature, starts to understand her need for closeness, feeling an interest that surprises him. As the date ends, a simple act of hand-holding captures the tentative beginnings of romance. Yakishio's wish for closeness and Nukumizu's willingness to explore new depths of his feelings. Together, they begin building a dynamic marked by shared insecurities and gentle tension, each finding solace and freedom in the other's presence, hinting at a relationship that grows through mutual understanding and genuine companionship. Personally, I really enjoyed this arc for what it provided. It solidified Lemon's role in Nukumizu's life, one that doesn't have to be romantic yet allows for a love that is greater than simple friendship. It paved the way for readers to comprehend the necessity for companionship, to really cherish the friends who encourage authenticity and those who allow us to be our real selves. Now, some stuff that I didn't include or forgot that I now want to share was Lemon and Nukumizu's scene, specifically before Lemon talks about the going home club. Here, they climb some rocks and due to convenient circumstances, Lemon grabs hold of Nukumizu's hand. The rocky path proved dangerous for the unathletic Nukumizu, in which Lemon thoughtfully engaged in the physical gesture initially out of the safety consideration for Nukumizu. However, Lemon's reluctance to let go of him proved otherwise as she further tightens her fingers' embrace over Nukumizu's hand, intertwining her fingers with his. It was a moment that revealed the purpose of the memo. The memo's presence suggests that Yakishio doesn't entirely trust her instincts when it comes to this date. It's possible that she consulted her mother or other sources for advice to make the day special, as indicated by her embarrassment when Nukumizu finds it. Her mother's involvement, implied by Yakishio's comment that the memo and even her outfit were part of her mother's suggestions, highlights how important this date was to her. It shows she put thought and care and time into every detail, hoping to express something meaningful without coming across too strong. Ultimately, the memo serves as a window into Yakishio's internal struggle, balancing her bold, outgoing personality with the tender, hesitant emotions she feels for Nukumizu. Her reliance on the memo indicates that, despite her confidence, she feels unsure about how to convey her feelings and possibly fears rejection. This vulnerability contrasts beautifully with her outward playfulness and highlights the depth of her character once again, making her more relatable and human. It's also a subtle hint of how much Nukumizu means to her, enough for her to step out of her comfort zone and try to follow rules she wouldn't normally need. Chika Komari is the quiet kid. She's definitely the quiet kid archetype. Not in the sense that no one cares about her or she is weird or some gimmicky quirk about her, but in the boat where she is one who wants to socialize yet can't due to internal struggles. Now, just a quick disclaimer, she unfortunately does not get as much attention or action as the other girls and has yet to have another arc in the novels. There are some cute moments here and there, but nothing like the Lemon date has happened yet so far. So sorry to disappoint, but for this section, I will only be mainly focusing on her anime arc, which ranged from episodes 8 to 12, which was the Suwabuki Festival. Chika Komari's journey during the Suwabuki Festival arc unfolds as a deeply personal battle with the weight of responsibility, her fear of loneliness, and her ultimate realization of the strength in accepting help and opening her heart to others. This narrative really strings together themes of self-discovery and vulnerability and trust in other people as Komari grows through her challenges and the relationships she nurtures along the way, especially with Nukumizu. At the start of the arc, Komari is overwhelmed as the newly appointed president of the literature club. She didn't volunteer for the role, but she feels an immense obligation to continue the work of her senpais, Tamaki and Tsukinoki, whose efforts she deeply admires. Her sense of duty is fueled by the fear of letting their legacy fade, and she becomes determined to keep the club alive. However, Komari's fear of being left behind casts a shadow over her efforts. After the senpais graduate, she worries she'll be left alone, bearing the responsibility for a club she once shared with people she looked up to. This fear stems from her past as the only first-year member for a long time, leaving her feelings with isolation. She constantly dreads the idea that the remaining members, like Nukumizu, might eventually leave her too. These anxieties drive her to shoulder the club's future on her own, refusing to let go of the memories and connections she's built. A key part of Komari's struggle revolves around her fear of public speaking, a daunting task for her as the new literature club president. Despite practicing endlessly with Nukumizu offering support, she can't shake her anxiety. Her fear peaks during the president's meetings, where she falters and fails to deliver her report. This failure is a crushing moment for her, as it lays bare her vulnerabilities and inadequacy in front of everyone. She wanted so badly to prove herself capable but ended up feeling exposed and defeated. When Nukumizu tries to step in and do it for her, Komari feels undermined. To her, his actions suggest that even he doesn't believe in her, that even he does not think she can face her fears. Her frustration boils over as she lashes out at him, revealing not only her disappointment in herself but also her anger at the idea of always needing to be rescued. This emotional moment isn't just about the failed report now, it's about Komari's deep-seated fear that no one sees her as capable. After the meeting, Komari and Nukumizu have a tense conversation by the stairs where Yanami and Nukumizu usually eat their lunches, and is where this moment becomes the emotional climax of the arc. Komari, shedding tears of sadness and frustration, opens up about her fears of abandonment, confessing that she feels like she must bear everything alone because she's terrified everyone will eventually leave her. Her struggles with direct confrontation are evident as she turns to text messages to fully express her feelings, sharing her fear of being the only one who truly cares about the literature club and her doubts about whether she's good enough to carry the expectations placed on her. Nukumizu listens, and this interaction becomes a turning point. While his earlier attempt to help was well meaningful and in consideration for her feelings, it was misguided, as he didn't fully understand Komari's perspective. Through this confrontation and conversation, he learns that supporting someone doesn't always mean stepping in to fix their problems. It can also mean standing by their side even as they struggle. And not to mention, they have a very cute moment here that even the girls question because they were actually texting in the group chat. By the end of the arc, both Komari and Nukumizu have grown emotionally. Komari begins to trust Nukumizu, realizing she doesn't have to face everything alone. This shift is symbolized in a touching moment where she smiles and hands over the title of club president to him. It's a small gesture but a monumental one, showing her willingness to share the burden and her newfound trust in him. Nukumizu also grows, learning to better understand Komari's needs. He transitions from being a reluctant club member to someone who genuinely wants to support her, not by taking over but by working alongside her. This shift strengthens their bond and reinforces the idea that the literature club isn't just one person's responsibility, it's a shared effort. The senpais Tamaki and Tsukinoki remain a guiding force throughout the arc. They want Komari to succeed but also understand that she can rely on other people as well. Their pride in her growth at the end of the arc underscores the significance of her journey, as Komari transforms from someone burdened by fear and responsibility to someone who embraces the support of the people around her. So, by the end of the Tsubuki festival arc, Komari reaches a place of acceptance, an acceptance revolved around her own limitations. She no longer feels the need to carry the weight of the literature club alone. Instead, she sees it as a collective effort, something that belongs not just to her, but Nukumizu, Yanami, Lemon, and more. So, Komari's arc highlights themes of fear of solitude, being vulnerable, and the importance of trust in others. Her journey is one of learning to balance her independence with her need for connection, ultimately showing that strength isn't about doing everything by yourself. It's about knowing when to accept help and seek help. The literature club, once a source of anxiety, becomes a place of shared belonging, built on the bonds of friendship and trust and, of course, love. Now, as I mentioned, there wasn't any crazy thing that happened in the novels, but I will go through some cute moments that I enjoyed reading. It's pretty known already that Komari does actually have feelings for Nukumizu, not exactly stated but heavily hinted. For Nukumizu's birthday, Komari's gift to Nukumizu is a present from her soul. Now, the bookmark isn't just a simple or small gift, it's something meaningful in the context of the literature club and for someone like Komari who knows that Nukumizu enjoys reading and it shows a certain level of attention. She chose something that fits Nukumizu's interests. This implies that she has been thoughtful about what he might like, which is one of those subtle signs that she pays attention to him. The choice of an item that represents thoughtfulness rather than extravagance indicates a wish to connect with him on a more personal and intimate level. The decorative details on the bookmark, such as the tamari ball, which is a traditional symbol often representing good luck and affection, adds more to the depth of the gift. It's like Komari is saying, I care about you and I want you to do well in life, but without directly voicing it. She's using the object essentially as a replacement for words she's unable to say, which of course fits in very well considering her vocal issues. The way Komari avoids eye contact while giving the gift and how she minimizes its value suggests that she's trying to downplay the significance of her gesture. It's almost like she's afraid of being seen for what this really means to her. This hesitation reveals her vulnerability. She cares about what Nukumizu thinks, and giving him something that holds meaning to her puts her in a vulnerable position. She's anxious about how he will react, and there may be an underlying fear of rejection or of her feelings not being understood. And of course, Nukumizu being Nukumizu, fails to see the deep meaning behind the gift and instead focuses on mundane details like its cost, which causes Komari to get frustrated. Her response of "shut up" isn't just irritation at his words, but at the fact that he's missing the emotional intention behind her gesture. She wants him to see the thought she put into it, to recognize that this isn't just any bookmark, it's his bookmark, specifically chosen for him. When he doesn't quite understand that, it feels like a rejection of her feelings, although unintentionally. And how do I know this? Because she says the catchphrase of the whole series. That's why I don't like this part of you. It's also interesting that she says this part of you, which implies that while there are things about him she clearly cares about, there are also aspects of his character that frustrates her, which is his emotional cluelessness. It points to a deeper desire on her part for him to understand her better, and perhaps hints at a growing romantic interest that she struggles with because he doesn't seem ready to see her that way. Some other interesting stuff that happened was Komari bathed in Nukumizu's house and Kaju got her to wear some goth lolly stuff, in which a small cute moment happened where Nukumizu tried to compliment her. It's just a very cute scene I wanted to add, and funnily enough, Nukumizu is quick to acknowledge the situation as he has a goth lolly maid making Valentine chocolates in his own home. There are a lot more cute moments like these in the novels, but you are better off reading it and enjoying it through that rather than I tell you, so I will just cut it very short here for the Komari x Nukumizu love analysis. And also the fact that I have written nearly 50 pages worth of stuff and I just want to push this long overdue video already. So yeah, that about wraps it up. Makeine is truly a work of wonder and one that I'd like to call a hidden gem because it's not as popular as the other series like Roshidere, right? And you know, because people don't like the idea of a romance that does not star the MC, even though it does but indirectly. The characters are deep, they are relatable, and are very fun to watch. They convey feelings and thoughts that have come across our minds at least once in our life, and the ability for them to be so true to the real world makes it seem like there is someone out there that may exactly be going through what some of these characters are struggling with. So I hope this analysis has brought forth some answers you may have had, or more information about the series and the characters and the story in general, and I hope the analysis was able to convince you to delve into the series, as I went very in depth into the characters and story to show you that there is more to this series than a main character who seems to be the losing hero on the surface. Thank you guys for watching, it means a lot to me truly. I'm just a dude expressing my love for my hobbies on this channel, and if you would like to support me, I humbly ask that you like and comment and even subscribe if you feel like it. But that's about it. See you guys.